All right, Dad, I'm back. Pedernales Falls State Park, 3-day, 2-night trip. Gonna get a lot of hiking in. Here we go. This is from the headquarters overlook. Oh, that's such a cool echo. The sound bouncing off this wall here is really cool. Anyway, I'm gonna be hiking out in there somewhere. That's my parking lot where I will be as soon as I get back to my car and hit the road. I already see the trailhead and everything. I didn't realize it was that close. In any case, I'm excited hitting the trails here at Pedernales Falls State Park. Just taking a quick moment to eat lunch before I hit the trail, which is right there, and lightening my load a little bit. Overpacked and already know it. And this is food. So that's gonna be lunch, snack. Well, it's lunch now, snack later. Pita chips to last the 3 days. Bacon jerky. So I'm getting jerky and bacon. Breakfast, oatmeal, hot chocolate. Cool. This is dinner tonight, ramen with canned chicken, dehydrated vegetables. And dinner tomorrow, lunch tomorrow, mashed potatoes, dehydrated chicken. And this is for the way out, breakfast, snacks. Alright, that's where I am now. Follow this black line known as Juniper Ridge Trail. The black line itself is about 9 miles, plus the 4/10 of a mile to get there. Wind it all the way through here. Actually, I'll branch off, stop at this spring right here. Jones Spring, really nice. And then I'll hike it in, set up camp around there. I told my wife, actually, probably as close to that symbol as possible. But it's going to be somewhere on that side. Most people camp over here by the bathroom because they hike in this way. And then they stay right there. In fact, that's about where we camped last time. But I might be on the far end, away from folks, and get to the river, creek, and the spring for water. Here we go. All right, I'm about 2 whole minutes into my hike. I'm actually on the equestrian trail leading up to Juniper Ridge. So I could see some of the horse tracks from previous riders. Not as much horse poop as I found at Hill Country State Natural Area. So that's cool. And I'm not too far from civilization. I mean, you might be able to see it. There it is. I'll raise it up a little bit. There's a hardball, big sign that says horses. So this trail kind of skirts alongside. Well, actually, once I'm on Juniper Ridge, then I'm skirting alongside the road, but never quite crossing it. But yeah, for the most part, it's like a dirt road. Not too hard. Kind of pushing it because the map says that Juniper Ridge Trail is challenging and should take 6 hours to hike it. Problem is, I've got 6 hours of daylight. So I'm gonna see if I can keep a 2-mile-an-hour pace. I hope. I've never been on this trail. So far, I'm at about 2.5-mile-an-hour pace. But this is the flat ground. Juniper Ridge is gonna have a couple of ups and downs. That's gonna slow me up. Slow me down. Something like that. So, let's see. I'll be back now. I'm gonna guess these are the trailblazes. It's like the 3rd one I've seen along this trail, Juniper Ridge. But this is it. Juniper trees, hence the name. Juniper Ridge, because we're also on a ridge. Yeah, you got it. Moving on. I've done about a mile in 30 minutes, so I am keeping to a 2-mile-an-hour pace. I'll probably take 1 or 2 breaks along this route. One of them to fill up my water as soon as I find a water source. Ran into 3 ladies going the other way So they were finishing up the trail, and they said that there were a couple of spots with water. A lot of the creeks weren't flowing, but I know a lot of the creeks are spring fed. So if you just go downstream a little bit, you might find it. Whew, all right, gotta pay attention to these rocks. So, good news is I know where I am. That's cool. And I also covered about 2.5 miles in an hour, 15 minutes. So pace-wise, I'm doing good. I think. Bad news is I've got about 4 hours of daylight before I'm hiking in the dark. And I have roughly 7 more miles to go. So assuming I take short breaks instead of long ones, hey, quarter number 2. If I keep this pace with breaks, I should make it in about 3 hours, give or take. Somebody do the math for me. 3 hours, 2.5 mile an hour pace, 7.5 miles. Yeah. Bragging rights to the person who figures it out. Liv, I just saw the holiday armadillo. No joke. You, my friend, are a sight for sore eyes. This means I just completed about 4.9 miles on an 8.9 mile trail. So I got 4 miles left on the Juniper Ridge Trail. The time is about 3 o'clock. That gives me 2 hours till 5. Then after that, I need to hightail it to where I'm going to camp, which is about a mile as well. I might have camp built before sundown. Let's see. All right, I found a stream, and I think I found its source. So I'm gonna head upstream a little bit, closer to where the spring is, and I'm gonna filter some water to refill my bladder and refill me using my Sawyer Mini. All right, I'm all topped off. My camelback is full. I still have half a liter of my unfiltered water bladder hooked up to this mini Sawyer. So I'm gonna keep drinking that as I hike. And I'll stay hydrated. And I need to, because I've only had 1 liter in 3 hours. That's not good. So, sorry, Liv. Fortunately, it's not hot outside, but that's the deceptive thing. So, fortunately, I'm not getting delirious or anything, but I do need to drink more water. So, I'm gonna. So I've covered 8.5 miles since I started at 12:15, 12 o'clock, somewhere in there today. And it's, 4:45. So I started here and I hightailed it down this yellow path to this black one. And I'm right there at these crossroads. Ta-da! Now, my plan is to continue on here to Wheatley Trail. And instead of finishing out Juniper Ridge Trail, which is almost 2 miles there, I'm going to cut across on Wheatley and get to here. If I can get there before dark, then it's just an easy hike on level ground to where I plan to camp. That's it. Now the other thing I could do is just bow out now, go uphill, go around the hill, down the hill, and then hike in there. So I've got choices. Either way, it's a roundabout trail. I've done this already, so I figure if I'm going to hike that distance, I may as well go see something new. I've also seen this green trail here. That's what my dad and I did with Brandon a while back. So going this way, cutting across on Wheatley, all the way to Wolf Mountain Trail, and then to camp. All right, I made it to Wheatley. It's 5:20. I've got 40 minutes and about 1.5 miles to cover. We can do it. It's gonna get dark, but I got this goofy thing on my head. So once I get to Wolf Mountain Ridge Trail, I'll be A-okay. All right, the good news. It's 5:45 and I am on Wolf Mountain Ridge Trail where I needed to be before dark. I'm probably about 1/2 mile from the primitive campground. And from there, pick a campsite, get dinner going, set up camp. I did it. I found a campsite. Sun's still up a little bit, enough time to set up camp. I haven't had to turn this on yet. All right, I'm tucked in for bed. Changed clothes. Got my bug net up. Got clothes hanging on the ridge line. Can't really see it the other side. Brought a sleeping pad this time to keep my bottom warm because I'm expecting temperatures to get down to the 50s tonight, 40s tomorrow. And this seemed like the thing to do. And that's about it. I'm tired. 11.25 miles, all said and done. Man. Well, in the morning, if it's not raining, I'll show you my crib. Good morning. Can't really tell with the lighting I've got, but it's actually 7 a.m. on day 2 on my trip to Pedernales Falls. I actually set up camp right on a cliff looking out on the river. So I had a little bit of white noise last night with in the distance there's a little, I guess you can just hear the sound of the water on the rocks. It's pretty cool. When I get more light, I'll do cribs, hammock style. So this is the area where I wound up. That's the backside. The cool thing about this real estate is it's straight ahead. You might be able to see it. There's the river there. And cliffs. Just kidding. And there's my hammock right there. Straight down. I'm actually on the far end of the campground, the primitive campground. Most people camp in the area that's closer to the parking lot. They're not willing to hike the extra half mile to get this kind of space. Now there's no camping allowed down below the bluffs, so this is as close as you can legally go before you get in trouble with the park rangers. It's just beautiful. As long as you don't fall straight down. Now let's do cribs, hammock style. There we go. This time my head end is lower than the foot end, and it was much better. I was not sliding down to the foot end of my hammock like I did in North Carolina. Now, thanks to an idea I got from my stepdad, Grandpa Dave, I got my hands on some of these tarp clips and created pseudo doors. So I was able to bring the tarp in a little bit. I was expecting rain last night by 1 o'clock in the morning. Well, it's 7 now, and I've got no rain, which is cool. That's cool. Downside is if I had known it was not going to rain, I would have actually had the cliff side of the tarp up, so I'd have a nice, neat view. So I've got that tied off to a rock right there, and then a little bit of porch mode at the end. You can see my trekking pole used to hold up. And that's because I've got this tree right there in the way, and so that forced me to do a door. Then I use some carabiners, hang my hydration bladder and my hat off of, and any extra items like my shirt to dry. And then my bug net, which is just cut to size, draped over my hammock ridge line, and then underneath in 2 spots I've got it tied off with a rubber band right there, see? And then this gives me an opening. I just crawl up inside. Voila! So this is what it looks like from the inside. Tarp above. This is the structural ridge line right here. And then the mosquito netting. Because the last time I was at Pedernales Falls, I got bit up. And anyway, I want to move the tarp back. Now that you've seen it, I'm going to take off the mosquito net so you can see the rest. So this is the inside of my bag. Over here's the foot end. This is where I had the head. So to keep me warm underneath, because like when you sleep on the ground, you got to worry about conduction, your heat being sucked through the ground. So then that's where a sleeping pad comes in when you're sleeping on the ground. Well, with hammocks, you got convection. You got air rushing underneath the hammock, and then that saps the heat from you. So there are 2 ways to go about it. You can do what's called an underquilt. Basically, you put a quilt, a down quilt underneath, hooked up to your suspension to hold your hammock up. But this time around, I wanted to go lightweight. I wasn't sure what the temperatures would be like. I wanted to be sure I'd be warm down to about 30 degrees if it got there. So I brought my trusty old Army Polypro pad. They let me keep it when I left. So that was down underneath. And if you know hammocks, you know that you want to have a diagonal lay. So you lay flat. If you look, you'll see that it kind of goes diagonally from right to left. So my foot end was there, my head diagonally over here, and I had it rolled up a little bit. Got some condensation from last night, but I never felt it because I used my poncho liner as kind of like a bed sheet. And then if I needed more warmth on the top, I could just roll into this and it'd be fine. This is some scarring from when my poncho liner caught on fire in Kosovo many years ago, but we'll just move on. This is a 40-degree down sleeping bag from Ozark Trail. I bought it at Walmart. Actually, I didn't buy it. I got it through a rewards program through my work. Yeah, I love my work. Now, instead of sleeping in it like intended, where you jump in it and zip up and you're stuck inside like a mummy with a hood, I get claustrophobic. So what I did was I unzipped it here. I had it draped over me like a blanket, and then to make sure it didn't go anywhere, at the bottom end where the feet are, I left that zipped. So I just slipped my feet into what's called a foot box. And that kept me warm all night. Plus, I wore a long sleeve shirt and Polypro Long Johns. I was actually toasty before I ever got underneath the sleeping bag, which I used as a top quilt. So I used it more as a blanket than I did a sleeping bag, and it worked perfectly. So there you have it. That's my setup. And now that I removed my bug net and I flipped my tarp back, because when I change back into my hiking clothes, people are going to see some surprising things if they happen to walk by. But I'm going to be able to have this view while I eat my breakfast. It looks better in person. Wish you guys could be here. I'm enjoying breakfast from my hammock. Having some oatmeal. Enjoying the sunrise. Water, and you're at the primitive campground, the Mescal River. So just straight ahead at the top of those rocks is the trail, Wolf Mountain Ridge Trail. Anyway, the creek looks like it's dry, but if you come in at about 100 feet, there's a spring right there. So I'm going to fill up my water. I'm going to climb down those rocks there, fill up in that pool there, and I'll be good to go. Alright, this is the equestrian trail leading up to the bird blind, where I'm heading for coffee and birds. Park rangers are hosting a little event. Gonna be a little late. I'd hoped to be there by 8 or 9, but I didn't leave my camp till 9 o'clock, so lollygagging. Really nice out here though. It's very different than the Juniper Ridge Trail. Juniper Ridge had a lot of rocks, a lot of bluffs, and it was just precarious the whole time. This is a very easy trail so far compared to Juniper Ridge. Oh crap. Had to get a poop joke in there. Oh dear. There we are. Whew. I almost forgot to pause and enjoy the view. Over there, that's the road. To the right leads to the ranger station. To the left, the parking for the primitive parking. And this trail I'm on crosses that road right around that sign. I was just gonna ask them one. They coming there over there on the tree.
I get there touching on these branches.
See, they don't get robins down here, robins out here eating any of the food. So if we didn't have that water there, yep, they just come in as a group. Worms.
Here we go. Twin Falls. Didn't get to see this last time. Oh my. That arrow is there. You'll see it. Oh, cool. Oh, we're shot. Nature trail. Short, but rugged and worth it. Those Twin Falls are really nice. Just don't be a jerkhole and ignore the sign that says rebuilding the habitat. There are 3 younger adults who did go down there. I guess they have special magic feet. You guys see it? So I camped closer to the head of the campground. Of course, there's going to be more people. There's like Tent City right across the trail, and it's 2 or 3 big families tied together. But in any case, I chose it because my plan is pretty much pack up, hightail it out of here like 4, maybe 5 in the morning, because I kind of want to surprise my wife with a little treat from Buc-ee's. She loves the beef jerky. It's about 15-20 miles out of my way, but she's worth it. So to make up for that time, I got to get out of here early. Plus, I want to get home clean, shaven. So I'm going to sneak over to the showers in the morning, hopefully, and take a shower. But to do all that, got to get up, pack up in a matter of minutes, and get out of here. So it's going to be dark when I leave. So day 3, it's a morning hike. It's a dark hike. I'll have my headlamp on, but I've got a feeling that my eyes will adjust to the trail and I'll be okay. Looking forward to it. 6 a.m.